On this week's Gridiron Report, we have a full breakdown of the 2026 Detroit Lions schedule. Each and every game, and is brought to you by Pins and Aces, our favorite spot for all your golf apparel needs. Use promo code GRIT, that's promo code GRIT, for 21% off any product at pinsandaces.com. Let's get into it.
In the heart of the city where the lights grow dim, grit and grind every inch, every rim. From the underdogs rising to the legends that win. It's the Gridiron Report, let the games begin. Every highlight's a journey, roads paved with fire, sweat, tears, and hustle that never expire. From the rookies on the rise to the old hands retire. Gridiron is the place for fans to conspire. Hustle on blast, beats thundering loud. Champions are born from the roar of the crowd. The Gridiron Report, where the stories are proud.
Well, welcome to the Gridiron Report, your Lions first all Detroit sports podcast presented by Mic Drop Studios. Today is Wednesday, June 3rd. And as I just mentioned, we're an all Lions Detroit podcast. We've been doing a lot of basketball over the last few months. We did a little bit of baseball, did a little bit of hockey. We haven't had a chance to talk football yet. Naturally, it's the off season, but we're getting a little bit closer. We have the release of the NFL schedule. This was a few weeks ago now, but we've been so tied up with, Michigan winning the Natty and the Pistons and, having their playoff wins. We've been so caught up. We haven't even had a chance to talk the Detroit Lions schedule. We also had some decent NFL news today. Myles Garrett was just shipped off to the West Coast to go play for the LA Rams. So I'm feeling footballish. Let's break down each and every game of the Detroit Lions schedule. It feels good to at least be back in some regard, right?
Dude, feels so good, man. And yeah, just with the two Shefty bombs today, Myles Garrett going out west of the Rams, and then you got AJ Brown going back to his former coach, is going to New England. So yeah, man, like it feels like we can almost taste football, even though like we're sitting here like June 2nd. There's still plenty of time before late August, September rolls around. But I can still almost feel it now, man. And like just seeing the Lions schedule, I'm licking my chops. Like finally, like obviously last season sucked so bad. You go 9-8, you lose every coin flip game, you lose games that you should have won, you blow leads, you don't make the playoffs. Like it really couldn't have gone worse. I think for a team with that much talent, the 2025 season literally could not have gone worse. And still, you're sitting there like 9-8, above 500. So it's not the end of the world, and now we're rewarded with I'd say a really easy schedule. Like, it's any given Sunday in the NFL. There's really no quote unquote easy wins. Any team can beat you, but like if you just look at the schedule on paper, I'm absolutely licking my chops, man.
So we have every single game. We're going to break it down literally game by game, matchups we're looking forward to. We'll talk the Thanksgiving Day game, the Germany game. We're going to talk so much football. I do have to say the Tigers just went back-to-back jacks. Dylan Dingler and Kerry Carpenter back-to-back take a 5-0 lead against the red-hot Tampa Bay Rays. So shout out to the Tigers. We'll get to them here shortly in the next few weeks because they definitely it's going to be a sad episode, but we definitely have a lot to talk about them. But I digress. You're right. We were put through a season like we were last year, and the only sort of light at the end of the tunnel, the only sort of solace we could take was that like we will have such an easy schedule this year. And that's just because of the games we lost last year. There was a few games towards the end of the year in which like I think even like who was the QB, the Vikings QB that we lost to? Like was it on Christmas or around? It was Brosmer or someone.
Yeah.
But that stuff, it hurt in the moment. But now looking back, that stuff all matters because we do have one of the easiest schedules in the NFL. So real quick, I'm going to go just real quick run through this list of who we have home and away. We're going to go, I'll be damned. Tigers just went back-to-back jacks. Riley Green just got in on it. So that was Dingler, Kerry Carpenter, Riley Green, back-to-back jacks. Of course, as soon as we do football, they hear about it and they want to talk about baseball. But
don't let them get hot, man. I think 12 more wins and they'll be at 500. Like, do not let them get hot.
Don't call it a comeback. Okay, so we're gonna break down these games. We're gonna stop at around the Chicago Thanksgiving Day game, go to a quick break, and then when we come back, we'll finish up the regular season. Talk about our overall predictions. Again, some specific games we're looking at, matchups, potential playoffs, stuff like that. So real quick, we start the season at home versus the New Orleans Saints. Then we go to Buffalo, at home versus the Jets, to Carolina, at Arizona, we have a bye week, week 6, at home versus Green Bay, at home versus Minnesota, away against the Dolphins, at home versus New England, at home which I believe that game, the New England game, is actually going to be in Germany. It's started on the schedule, so I would assume that means Germany. At home versus Tampa Bay, at home on Thanksgiving versus Chicago, at Atlanta, at home versus the Tennessee Titans. On the 20th, we have away at the Vikings. The 28th, a few days after Christmas, at home versus Chicago or the New York Giants. The January 3rd at Chicago, and then the last game of the season, TBD, is considered a flex game. That is going to be at Green Bay. So before we actually jump in to game by game basis, matchups we're looking forward to, we're going to throw a win or a loss on each of these. Overall thoughts on it, because I know for me the first thing that jumps out to me schedule wise is, like you said, decently easy. But just having to finish the season at Chicago and at Green Bay, both away games, both divisional games, that sucks. That sucks not just for us, but like for the entire division, because like the entire division could be flipped on its head with 2 weeks to go in the season.
Yeah, for sure, man. Like I'm just looking. That's a tough stretch for sure. At that point, though, we might have already stacked up 12 or 13 wins, or maybe at that point maybe 11 wins, but still, like you're looking pretty good. I will say Vegas, and obviously the spreads are going to change, right? But Vegas has us favored in like 13 of these games as we stand right now. So like a lot of winnable games on the schedule, but yeah, those last two, I think we're probably going to be dogs in both of those. Hopefully it's a scenario where like winning one out of those two will do us good to get maybe a 1 seed, 2 seed, whatever that is. But hopefully it's not like a win or get in type scenario. Like we were up against the wall last year. That really sucked. But I guess first thing for me, like if you just kind of chunk the schedule, bye week is so early. Bye week 6. I feel like we had an early bye week last week too. Definitely would. I mean, it's the NFL. I would love a late bye week. I just feel like guys are so banged up. Week 10, week 11, week 12. The late bye week would be great, but I mean, it is what it is. Schedule as a whole, pretty easy. I think you got to go 4-1 going into the bye week. That just looking at the schedule right now, like you got to win those first 4 out of 5, and then you're cruising after that. If you kind of sleepwalk through the start of the season, I think it's still going to be pretty tough.
I think you're right in that. I think we did have an early bye week last week, but if I recall, I remember saying, I think we talked about it on the show, like, thank God we had an early bye week because we're so banged up. Like, we need just a week to get healthy. We had no idea the rest of the season we would just be entirely unhealthy the rest of the season. Like, we needed a billion bye weeks, so I think that came back to bite us in the ass. Not that it really would have mattered. And then, because coming back from the bye week, so we just talked about finishing the season on 2 divisional games. We come out of the bye week with 2 divisional games. Granted, they're at home against Green Bay and against Minnesota, so those are going to be super important. I agree with you. You got to kind of somewhat come out of the gate hot, and then you got to take care of business and be competitive coming out of the bye week. No rust or anything. You got to be able to be healthy coming out of there. So, okay.
Last thing that I'll just say before we actually jump into game by game. We've alluded to it that our schedule is so easy. I don't know if maybe all of our listeners are like super privy to how the NFL schedule works, but there's basically three. I don't know if they call them flex games. Probably not flex games, but basically you have 3 opponents where you are playing an opponent where they finish the same as you in their respective division. So in the Lions case, they finished 4th in their division, last in their division last year. And so these 3 specific games, it's against the Cardinals, the Falcons, and the Giants. So all 3 of those teams also finished last in their division last year. And so that's why the matchup is how it is. So, I mean, obviously most of the schedule is already set. Like, the NFC North plays the AFC West, whatever it is. It's not the AFC West in this case, but yeah, those 3 games, it's dependent on how you finished last season. So, and really, if you think about it, in the NFL, you might be scratching your head like, oh, 3 games doesn't really matter, but 3 games can absolutely be the difference between you sitting on the sideline, watching the playoffs, or actually being in the playoffs yourself. So, I mean, imagine 2 more wins last season. Lions are coasting in the playoffs. So that is huge, having that last place schedule from finishing last in the division, the NFC North last season. We are getting rewarded here. So it's like Tyler alluded to, like, got to be glass half full. The one good thing about last season, it's going to help us this season.
And the vice versa of that is that Chicago was it? Who won the division? Was it Chicago? Whoever won the division?
Yeah, Bears.
They have, I think, the top 3 hardest schedule. And so you flip it the other way. You're like, okay, if you take out those 3 shitty teams, and I say shitty, they could be looking. I don't think anyone's looking at us and saying shitty team. I think they're looking at us saying bad year. But you take those 3 worst placed in their division teams, and you replace them. If we had to say we'd won the division, like we were expected to last year. You replace him with, whoever else would be in that, a Rams, a Seahawks, whoever else would be in there. You're looking at that, and that's a completely different schedule. And
Seahawks.
So,
I think
literally,
the Bears have the Seahawks as one of their three, and maybe I can't remember the other ones, but yeah, three very hard opponents.
so yeah, not only are you getting the easier opponents, you're not having to go up against those. And like you said, 3 games, that's a gauntlet of a three, teams, 3 opponents there. So yeah, it's a great point. I knew it was something like that. I didn't know who the teams were going to be. I like that the NFL does it just because it does. Whether your division's really good, your division's really shitty, it does at least give you some other level opponents out there. Unless you kind of take advantage of it, like the Lions technically did last year by having a down year. Normally a team that we would expect to be better, just having a single down year, you can kind of take advantage of that coming in last place, the down year kind of thing. So, okay, let's go in. Let's start with week 1. September 13th is when the Detroit Lions are kicking off the season at home at Ford Field against the New Orleans Saints, a young Saints team that has really floundered for a good amount of years. I would even argue to say going on like a decade. I feel like the Saints have really floundered a little bit and just not had any identity, had a bunch of money tied up in guys that were no longer good. You do have guys on that team like Alvin Kamara, who has been up and downs with injury, but he has said like he only ever wants to play for the Saints. So you have a lot of good pieces, but still a lot of question marks for this young Saints team. Is it going to be Tyler Shuck as a QB? I can't imagine it's going to be Spencer Rattler. Like you don't even know what you're going to get from Tyler Shuck. So a 1 p.m. game to start the season. I think to come away from the season not being 1-0 would be a tremendous down. It'd be a tremendous loss.
It would be horrible. Yeah, it's a must win. You got to start the season strong. An inferior opponent for sure. Like Shug actually was very good, especially among rookies last year. And I think he's gonna become a pretty good quarterback in this league. But still, you're coming to Ford Field, 1 p.m. kickoff, but the place is still gonna be rocking. I mean, people are just craving football. Even as we sit right here in June, I'm definitely craving football. Dan Campbell's former team, he spent time with the Saints as I think a tight end and a coach, right? So it doesn't really mean anything though. I think Vegas has us as a comfortable like touchdown favorite here, especially being at home. Saints were 7-10 last year, so they weren't horrible by any means. But yeah, this is definitely a dub. I'm not gonna say they're gonna cover. Could be. It just seems like teams come out of the gate slow to start the NFL season. I think it probably has to do with players not really playing in the preseason anymore. Preseason doesn't matter. Injury risk, injury concern. So could be a little sloppy, but the boys get it done at home for sure. Yeah, this is a dub.
Yeah, we've been punched in the mouth game 1 in the season before. I remember years ago I went to the Lions versus the Jets season opener at Sam Darnold's very first game, and we threw like two pick sixes or something, and Sam Darnold beat us. So we've been punched in the mouth before. I don't think that happens here. I think we start the season 1-0.
Two seasons ago, right? The 15-win season, the Lions dropped the first game to the Bucks. We were on a cruise that weekend.
Oh,
that was the first game of the season. Yeah,
that was a bad one. Yeah, so we've seen it before, but I mean, and we'll get like overall vibes of this team towards the end of the episode. But like a lot of people, Dan Campbell included, they're obviously giving us the coach speak, but a lot of it is saying like this is a different feel to this team this year. Like we kind of got caught up in it last year, different feel. So prove us right, Dan, or prove yourself right, Dan, and come out of the gate being 1-0. So after week 1, Lions immediately go to a primetime game. We have a Thursday game, so just 4 days rest. We go to Buffalo, 8:15, a Amazon Prime game. A few different interesting things with this game, and that likely, I don't think it's confirmed yet, but likely will be the first game at the Buffalo Bills' new stadium. Mm-hmm. Going to
Highmark
Buffalo
Stadium.
Now it's not in the middle of winter. It's not towards the end of the season when it would be. Buffalo definitely is one of those teams that you have an advantage from playing in the cold. But the Buffalo fans are absolutely insane. So whenever you're just going to Buffalo, it's going to be somewhat of a difficult environment. It's going to be definitely going to give the Bills an advantage. Being the first game ever in their new stadium, I think it's going to be it's definitely going to give them an even larger advantage. Buffalo's gone through a little bit of turnover and turmoil, I should say, over this past year. So they fired head coach Sean McDermott. They promoted Joe Brady to head coach, got him a 5-year deal, brought in Jim Leonard as the DC. It kind of was just like, for years, it was just Josh Allen doing, being Superman all season and then just falling short in the postseason. So I think they did a lot to try and make that not the case, build the team around him. I'm just looking at some of the additions that they made this past year. They signed Bradley Chubb, who I think has been maybe a little bit older. Probably hasn't had an extremely productive season in quite some time. Former Lion Shane Zylstra, tight end, is now with the Buffalo Bills on a 1-year contract. So I didn't love what the Bills did this offseason. We're not a Bills podcast, so we don't need to go super into it, but I don't know if it was enough. I still think this is definitely going to be an edge to the Bills just being at home for them. Second in the AFC East last year. I think you mentioned it going into the bye week, you got to be 4-1. This is the one game you might drop.
Yeah, I think this is absolutely the game that they drop. For me, like, the new stadium, like, just the crowd's going to be
Thursday
insanely
night.
rocking. Like, first primetime game Thursday night, and then first game in the new stadium. Like, it's just a recipe for, I don't want to say like we're going to get rolled. I think it's going to be must-see television. If we look at the matchup between Lions and Bills 2024, like, it was a very high scoring game, like 48-42 game. Bills won comfortably. I think the Lions probably scored late to make it a 1-score game there. But yeah, I just remember that was an absolute track meet. I don't see anything else happening except for a track meet in this game too. It just seems like Bills love putting up points. I mean, for me, like, this is definitely going to be Drew Petzing's first big test, second game of the season at the Bills, prime time. I mean, can we keep up with Josh Allen? Like, yeah, granted, like you said, there's a lot of newness to this Bills team as well. New head coach, new defensive coordinator. So definitely a lot of unknowns. I think this is going to be a must see, but I do think that this is probably one that Bills win. Like, this is a Josh Allen, like, maybe a late touchdown drive to win it. I think it's going to be really close, but I definitely have the Bills in this one.
I agree. I think I'm gonna go with you. And this definitely could be a pick. It could go 50-50. There probably is 1 or 2 other 50-50 games later in the season that I'll come back to this and say, okay, well, 50-50, I say we're going to lose to the Bills. 50-50, say we're going to win, whatever game that is there. So I'm going to mark it down as a loss as well. So starting the season 1-1, it could be, like you said, it could be 50-50. It could be anything. But I think if we don't go out there and compete, I think there's going to be a lot of world is falling people really early in the season with this. And I think at a minimum, you got to wait until we get to like the bye week to have a good understanding what this team is. But I digress there. So moving right ahead, after we play the Bills on Thursday night, we then come back home and play the New York Jets, 1 p.m. September 27th. That game, I mean, you should just out the gate, you should be able to schedule it as a W. So the Jets obviously had the second overall pick in the draft class. They went ahead and selected David Bailey, the edge out of Texas Tech. I think a fantastic player. Usually edges, I feel like, can come in and do pretty well for themselves. But then outside of that, I think they had a really good draft class in general. Omar Cooper Jr. out of Indiana was the third of their 3 first-round picks, which is crazy. D'Angelo Pons in the second round, also out of Indiana, the DB. Cade Klubnik, quarterback, and they took him in the 4th round, I believe. Kind of a surprise one there. So the Jets are the Jets. I don't think we need to. I think they'll have a healthy Garrett Wilson. I think Justin Fields, is he still on the Jets? I believe he might. Oh no, he traded him to Kansas City. He's no longer with the Jets there. So. I mean, this has got to be another win.
Yeah, this is they have Geno Smith, right? Did you say that?
Yes, I believe it is Geno.
Yeah, it's gonna be a Geno game. His return to New York. I agree. I think the Jets did a lot of good things in the offseason, a lot of good things in the draft. But at the end of the day, like, they're far from being a winning team, especially coming to Detroit for this game. Interesting little storyline, obviously, like Aaron Glenn's return. A lot of people were thinking he might get fired after one season. It was a pretty awful season in which, I think they were sitting there like halfway through last season thinking, the Jets might not win a game. It was going that poor for them. So, and the defense was abysmal. They basically traded everyone. Aaron Glenn obviously defensive-minded coach, former defensive coordinator. It just wasn't great last season, but I definitely think they're taking a step in the right direction. But this is a beatdown. This is a Dan Campbell signature win where not signature because the Jets are any good, but just beating the teams that you should beat and beating them handily. I think except for last season, the Lions have been pretty good at that in recent years. So yeah, I'm not scared of Geno at all. He's pretty washed, had a bad season last year. This is definitely a dub for me.
I mean, any way you put it, a loss here would be disappointing. Are the Jets still looking for interception? They didn't have a single interception last year, if I remember correctly. They're still looking for the first interception in like 2 years.
Didn't have an interception last year.
Goff, don't let it be against us. Please don't let that happen.
Yeah. I guess the only interesting thing is does Aaron Glenn know Goff better than he knows himself? Probably not, but you're going to see those storylines. Does Aaron Glenn know exactly how to beat this team because he coached with them for so long? I think the answer to that's absolutely no, but you're going to hear that going into this game.
Yeah, and I think even if he did, I just don't think the Jets have the horses to pull that off. I think just even if you know the script, talent's still going to take over. We still have a far more talented team than the Jets, which I don't think are in a terrible position. Not nearly as where they were last year, but not nearly where the Lions are at the moment. So after they come home to play against the Jets, they then travel. The first game in October 4th. They go to Carolina to take on the Carolina Panthers. Sunday night game. So this is week 4, and we've had 2 primetime games. Not a surprise for 34 years now. The Lions have been one of the darlings of the NFL. They're going to get us some primetime every time we can. So they are going to Carolina to play a Carolina team that I felt pretty good about him last year. I had a lot of questions about whether Bryce Young can be the guy. I think everyone also did, and he kind of turned it on and played really well. He beat the Rams twice last year. I like what they did. They went ahead and got Monroe Freeling in the draft. He was a guy, obviously, that we had been mocked to take quite a few times. But you and I broke him down tremendously during our draft class. They went ahead and I think almost did a lot what I wanted the Lions to do during their offseason. So they went out and they took a hulking offensive lineman like they needed. They also went out in free agency. They signed Devin Lloyd, one of the best linebackers in the NFL. They went out and signed Jalen Phillips, obviously one of the best defensive linemen. He was a 1-year rental from the Eagles. So they had very much an offseason that I wanted Detroit to have, and they're coming off of a little bit of momentum from last year. So because it's in Carolina, if it was in Detroit, 100% we'd be favored. Because it's in Carolina, maybe it would be more of a pick'em. But this is a sneaky game that I think, depending on how Bryce starts the year, if he takes that momentum from last year, this could be a really sneaky game. If he kind of turns back into a pumpkin and what he was for half to majority of his rookie contract, it might not be as close as I think it is. But I think this could be a sneaky, dangerous one.
Dude, I'm with you there, man. 8-9 last season, but the NFC South champs. You're going against the champs. Yeah, this is tough. Primetime Sunday Night Football, primetime 8:20 game. I think this is going to be your classic, just slow Sunday Night Football game where neither team can really get it going. It just seems like sometimes these primetime unders hit more often than not. So, yeah, I still like this spot, but I mean, I guess you just never know what Bryce Young you're going to get. But, right. Assuming he takes another step forward, he's even better than last season. It seems like he's kind of improved just a little bit every year. I think he won two games his, rookie season, then 5 games. Then they won 9 games last year. So, they could be good. And I do like what the Panthers are doing. They're looking at this NFC South, Bucks 8-9, Falcons 8-9, Saints. None of these teams are that good, and none of these teams have awesome quarterback situations, or I guess you could say the Bucks kind of do. But I like that they're going all in, so to speak. A lot of good defensive parts there. They're going all in on their still for rookie contract quarterback. I'm pretty sure Vegas has this as a pick'em or really close. So you never know what's going to happen week 4. We could be huge favorites. We could be dogs by then. But I think it's going to be gritty. This is going to be a field goal game, but it's going to be a dub. I'm gonna say it's gonna be a dub.
the defense scares me a little bit. The tools around Bryce Young, scares me. It's not the right word, but like I believe in the tools around Bryce Young. I just am not sold on Bryce Young yet. So I'm gonna say it's gonna be a dub as well. But again, I think this could be, like you said, it could be a gritty game. It could be a surprising game. If when we're not playing the Panthers, I think I might be a little bit of a Panther fan this year, just because they like I said, they had the offseason I wanted Detroit to have, and they're putting together a team that like I think can make some noise, even though they have a terrible owner. I think they can make some noise. So I'm gonna mark it as a W as well. But don't sleep on the Panthers for this game. Make sure we got to come ready to play against them in Carolina.
Mm-hmm.
All right. Okay, so after Carolina, we stay on the road. October 11th, we go out to Arizona, playing. I think you mentioned Arizona, one of the last place teams that were slid into our schedule because we shit the bed so many times last year. This Arizona game, just a 4:25 Sunday start. Arizona's got a lot of turnover, a lot of changing parts for Arizona this upcoming season. They have been. You and I were pretty rough on Arizona when we broke down Drew Petzing, rightfully so. They have been a poverty franchise for quite some time, but it's going to be, like we said, it's going to be a Drew Petzing reunion. I think a lot of the players like Drew Petzing. I think a lot of the fans just didn't, just based on his personnel and kind of a lot of the production there. We don't know, obviously, what we're going to get in Drew Petzing, but it's going to be a reunion for him. They went ahead and fired Jonathan Gannon at the end of last season, hired Mike LaFleur as their head coach with a 5-year contract. Obviously, they lost Kyler Murray, so you lost your head coach, you lost your OC, you lost your QB, you lost a lot of guys. And then you look at the draft class that the Arizona Cardinals had for this, a few weeks ago. Jeremiah Love with the 3rd overall pick. You still have James Conner on roster. Obviously, someone that we were looking at, like maybe we want to go after him and bring him to Detroit and be the replacement for David Montgomery. We obviously went elsewhere. But Jeremiah Love, they also brought in Tyler Algier. So you have 3 running backs that, like, I'm not entirely sure. You don't waste a top 3 overall pick on a running back to sit and not play. But you also don't bring in Tyler Algier unless you kind of probably promise him to have a decent role. So it's going to be very interesting with the Jeremiah Love, Tyler Algier, James Conner aspect of it. And that's not even bringing up the fact that that Carson Beck is, the QB they took in the 3rd round, might get some run time there. So a lot of moving parts for the Cardinals. All that to say, no, I'm not worried.
Definitely not worried. I think Jacoby Brissett right now is, I think he's still holding out for a new contract. I don't know.
I believe so, yeah.
Don't know if he's going to get it. I don't know how that's going to work for you. I actually think that he did have a pretty decent season last year. He was putting up some numbers for some games, but no matter what it is, Brissett, Carson Beck. I mean, I pray it's Carson Beck in Week 5. Like, I just think he's not a very good quarterback, and we would absolutely eat his lunch. So yeah, regardless of what it is, brand new head coach. The interesting thing, this is another like storyline that doesn't really matter, but it's going to be talked about a ton. Is like Drew Petzing's return to his former team. Does Mike LaFleur have Petzing absolutely figured out? Do the Lions struggle because of it? I think it's all, at the end of the day, it's all smoke. It's all narrative. I don't think. I mean, I'm just not taking any stock in that story. I think Petzing will do fine, even if he throws out like a B- offensive coordinator game. Like, I think we still win handily. So this is big for me. Obviously, we talked about Week 6 is the bye week, so you got to win entering the bye. You can't be entering the bye on a loss, and then you lost all momentum. Let's assume you lost to the Bills too. 3-2 record going into the bye, I think, would be a loss for this team through the first 5 games. Like, you got to win. You got to win before the bye. So. I'm not gonna say must win, but it's a win. It's definitely gonna be a win.
I mean, like you said with the Jets game, like it would not to be considered a signature win, but like you said, just being able to beat down on the teams that just on paper don't have the horses, don't have the firepower that we have. You have to win those. So I agree with you. Sitting right there. So right now, I think you and I have been in lockstep the entire way for the first 5 games. So we're sitting at both 4-1, as you mentioned. Like, you got to be going into the bye week as such. And I agree with you. I think you absolutely have to be, just because all of the 4 games are absolutely winnable games that you should be. You should, like I said, maybe the Carolina game, because it's at Carolina. It could be a pick 'em. It could be maybe Carolina favorite. I don't really see that, but like all 4 of those, you're going to be favorites. So you got to be able to win those. And then, like you said, and like we said, Buffalo might even be like a 50-50. So you could be going into the bye week as a 5-0. You could be going to 4-1. But anything less than that, you dropped a game that you should have won. And again, the only one that maybe is going to be forgivable would be the Carolina game, depending on how Bryce Young starts the season. So 4-1 starting the going into the bye week and getting healthy. Hopefully, not even needing to get healthy because we're already healthy.
Absolutely.
All right, so our early bye week, that'll be what, October 18th will be the bye week, so we will not be playing then. We then go, like I said, to come out of the bye week, it's going to be back-to-back divisional games. We welcome in the Green Bay Packers on October 25th, 4:25 start. I mean, we just said, like, you can't go into the bye week and it's sluggish. You can't come out of the bye week sluggish, but like I just hate having to start coming off the bye week against back-to-back divisional games. Packers, obviously second place in the NFC North last year. They didn't have a first-round draft pick this past year based on their trade for Micah Parsons, so not much that they added to from the draft there. But I mean, I don't know. Their offense shouldn't scare you, right? I don't think they added anyone really offensively. They added Sky Moore, receiver, speedy receiver. He doesn't necessarily scare me. But that defense is for real. Like the offense, I'm not worried about it whatsoever. The defense is absolutely for real. So obviously they went ahead and added Micah Parsons last year. They added Javon Hargraves, defensive lineman, this past offseason. Benjamin St-Juste, they signed him the cornerback. The defense is for real, and that scares me because the last time we played Green Bay, like Goff just absolutely got his lunch ate, and like he looked so uncomfortable in a sense where like that defense was so game changing that if they're even close to what they were against us that one time, the last year, this could be a difficult game coming out of the bye week.
I'm having some nightmares. Yeah, week one last year. They just signed Micah Parsons like a week and a half prior, start of the season at Green Bay, and yeah, we got our lunches absolutely eaten. It was horrible. It basically set the tone for the whole season for the Lions. So would hate for that to happen. Big thing for me, Micah Parsons with his injury and his injury timeline. They're saying that he's likely going to start the season on the physically unable to perform list, the PUP list. If that's the case, I think he would have to miss. I can never remember if it's like the first 4 games or the first 6 games, but regardless, like by week 7, I think he could be just about making his return, which definitely scares me. Hand up. I wish we would have played the Packers a little bit sooner, maybe another week 1 like last year. That would have been awesome to not have to play them with Micah Parsons. I should say get to play them without Micah Parsons. But that's not the case. I think he's going to be playing, and if so, yeah, this is gonna be a tight one. I think this is almost a pick 'em, maybe Lions slight favorite. Just looking at last year, the Lions were just 1-2 in divisional home games. I think overall they were 1-5 in divisional games. They were just really, really horrible. Basically lost every single divisional game except for I think that Bears win. That big Bears win was maybe our only one. So just horrible season. I think because of that, we're going to want to set the tone in the division as early as possible. Obviously, this is the first divisional game. I think Dan Campbell's going to have us ready to roll, especially out of a bye. I like the spot here. I think this is a tight one, but I think this is a game the Lions win.
So the PUP, physically unable to perform list, if you start the season on the list, you have to miss a minimum of 4 games. So numbers wise, he could be back. Hell, nowadays with injury recoveries and rehabbing, we just talked about Terry Skubal. We thought Skubal was going to be out for 2 months. It's going to end up being out, 4 or 5 weeks. So there's a very good chance he could be back. Will he be up to game speed and conditioning? He's a freak of nature, so I would think probably, but there's always a chance that he's just a little bit slow coming back. I agree with you. I'm never afraid. Some people, we talk about this all the time. Some people are like, no, I want to play the absolute best. I'm like, no, fuck no. I want to play the Packers when they're at the lowest. Like I want to win the game, and not having Micah Parsons on the field gives us the best chance to do that. So this definitely could go one of two. If he doesn't play, 100%, I'm calling this. I'm going to say it's a dub. If he does play, it's much more of a pick 'em. I just think even we got our asses handed to us last year. but I think we were just unprepared for the Michael Parsons arrival, like you said. It happened right before, and then later in the season, things are a little bit different. But maybe it's a homer pick. Maybe I just have a lot of faith in us. I think we win this game.
Yeah, I think coming off the bye is huge for me too. Like you gotta win going into the bye. I think you absolutely have to win coming out of the bye. So I like the spot at home. A nice Sunday late afternoon game, 4:25 p.m. Like the Packers have owned us at home. I think they've beaten us at home like 2 out of the last 3 seasons. So I just like the spot. A little bit of a bounce back, get back to the winning ways in the NFC North, and like you got to establish yourself as the top dog again, especially after coming in last year. The time is now, and I like the spot.
Okay, so we're about almost halfway through the season. We're going to pick this up a little bit because we are running way behind. We just have so much to talk about, so many games, so many teams. But going into November, the November schedule, November 1st week, welcome in the Minnesota Vikings. Vikings didn't have a very good draft, I would say. They reached on a guy, Caleb Banks, defensive tackle out of Florida. A lot of people thought I think he was slated before the college season to go like top 5, but then had a terrible season. It was supposed to drop possibly out of the first round. The Vikings reached for him. We don't know who's going to be the QB. Obviously, the Vikings brought in Kyler Murray. They also drafted 9, who is supposedly the franchise quarterback, and J.J. McCarthy. There's a lot of turmoil going on at the moment with them, and people are asking Kyler if he's enjoying teaching, and he's being, giving the professional answer that, like, yeah, I'm helping out any way I can. And they asked JJ how he feels that like he can learn from Kyler, and basically was like, nah, I don't care about him. I gave some weird analogy that didn't really make sense.
Just in the classroom, just two guys in the classroom,
two kids in the classroom on opposite sides, and just not thinking about one another, which is a weird answer. But either way, I think that Vikings come in third in the NFC North last year. I think there's just too much confusion. Obviously, we had played a backup QB last year, and we still lost to him. A lot going on for the Lions. I think the Lions, no matter if it's Kyler, who I think it will be, or JJ, I don't really trust either of them to be the starting QB for this season. So I'm gonna go with Lions win in Week 7.
I feel like it's definitely going to be Kyler. He still has a lot left in the tank. Excuse me. And he's another year removed from his injury now. Another offseason, I should say, removed from his injury. I think he's going to be back and better than ever. I don't see a scenario where JJ McCarthy wins that starting job. He could, but I just don't see it. But yeah, even if it's Kyler, I think it's a massive upgrade for a guy like Justin Jefferson to have Kyler back there versus JJ McCarthy. Like can actually toss it up. I think the back-to-back home games is really, really nice for the Lions. Coming off that bye, Packers at home, Vikings at home. Excuse me. Yeah, I have this as a win. I think no matter who's at quarterback for the Vikings, it's a redemption tour for the Lions. Like I said, got your asses kicked by everyone in the division last year. You're on a tour. You're on a revenge tour. And I see this as another win.
Yeah, I think that's actually a sneaky benefit to this. We'll have 3 weeks in a row of just being at home with the bye week and leading to back-to-back home games. So 3 weeks of sleeping in your own bed, getting training and work from our trainers, and eating our meals and stuff. So I think that's definitely going to be helpful. Okay, so we still have, this is now going to be going into Week 8, obviously including the bye, with only one loss for both of us. And I don't think it's going to stop anytime soon with you and I going into Week 9 against Miami, November 8th. 1 p.m. game at Miami, but this Miami team, they had a lot of turnover this past season, as we have talked with a lot of these other teams. Obviously, they've moved on from their head coach. They're moving on from Tua Tagovailoa. They are going with Malik Willis is going to be their QB leading into the year. Malik Willis, I think, had a great few games for the Packers. I don't necessarily know if I think he's a full-time starter in this league. I think he's more so exactly what the Packers used him for, and that you need a QB for 2-3 weeks to keep your season alive, and I think he can do that. So he doesn't really scare me. Obviously, they traded away Jalen Waddle to, I believe, the Broncos midseason. They
have Tyreek Hill? Is Tyreek Hill? He's still on the team, right?
He's on. I believe he's on the team, but his leg was on backwards, and he was already 33 or something. And I don't know many mid-30s guys who are able to come back that would probably be right around a full year that he had his just horrific injury in which his leg was flipped inside out. So I don't, that doesn't scare me even if he is. Devon Achane, I think, got a new deal, but really the main thing, they ended up taking Caden Proctor, who was a guy Detroit was rumored to be looking at extensively in the draft. So that'll be interesting. Sneaky, they took Jacob Rodriguez, linebacker, in the second round, who you and I talked about. Great pick there. But this is another win for us.
I think they had a good draft pick. First couple picks were guys that we were looking at too. So yeah, I'm with you there. Like there's too much turmoil with this Dolphins team. Brand new head coach, brand new quarterback who really doesn't have a lot of starting experience, like you just broke down. I guess the only thing, still week 9, it's still hot in Miami. Those 1 p.m. games, like we're gonna be baking on the sideline, but yeah, at least it's not like an early September game. We can say that. I still think this is gonna be a dub for sure. Like you got to beat the brand new starting quarterback, who's like still getting his feet wet. You absolutely have to take it to him. This is a dub for me.
Kellen Dangler with the second home run of the night. Tigers pouring it on the Rays at the moment, so shout out to the Tigers. Again, we are behind, so we're going to keep trying to roll through these. We then go to, New England comes to Detroit on Sunday, November 15th. So this is just a few weeks before Thanksgiving.
This is the Munich game, Germany
yes.
game.
Oh, yes, you're right. Excuse me. This is in the Munich. This is going to be in Germany. So I think now they're going at least one game per season for every team will be overseas. This is the one I'm actually not, people are mad about it. I'm not actually that mad about it, just because if there's going to be any country over there we go play, and I'm happy it's Germany just because of Amon-Ra St. Brown and his German heritage. His mom is 100% German. They do, their family speaks German, one another, and it's so I'm happy it's in Germany. It's a 9:30 game. I'm not thrilled that it's like I actually love one early game for the NFL. I love like waking up in the morning and just like having the first game to throw on immediately. The Lions game gonna have to set something up, some eggs and kegs or something like that. But for this one, yeah. I think we just got news today. You already mentioned it. A.J. Brown traded to the Patriots. I love the Patriots draft class. Caleb Lamu at 28, I think, was a pretty good pick. And then Gabe what you pronounced his name correctly when we broke him down. I don't remember what it was. Gabe.
Was it Hawkes?
I can't. I think it was Akis. Maybe it was Akis.
Akis.
I love those two guys. The rest of their draft wasn't. It was a lot of depth guys, but I love those two guys. This for me is going to be a loss.
Yeah, I'm with you there, and I'm just looking at like what my schedule is on November 15th. I don't think I have anything on the books. Yeah, I definitely gotta get some beers with the boys at like 8:30 a.m. Central Time and just have some fun with this one. But yeah, I think that the Patriots just have more experience with international games. I think they had an international game last year, maybe the year before. Lions haven't had one in, I don't know, a long time. I mean, I don't want to say forever, but I can't remember the last time we had an international game. So it's definitely been a while. And I don't know if there's much of an edge there. I feel like there is though, man, especially week 10. Like, I feel like the last thing you want to do is like, hop on a plane all the way over to Germany, practice there a couple days, try to get your body on this time clock. You're playing a good team. Like, did the Pats outkick their coverage to the Super Bowl last year? Like, yeah, probably. Yeah. Like they had an easy schedule. They won a few games they probably shouldn't have. But they're still a good team. They're well coached. Who knows what's going on with Vrabel right now, but I think everything's probably going to all blow over and he's going to be coaching just fine with all the Rossini stuff. But yeah, for some reason, I have a bad feeling about this one. I'm with you. I think this is going to be a loss too, especially for a team that, like, at this point, if everything goes well with like the Green Bay game and the Minnesota game, like we could be sitting at like, a nice like 5-game win streak right now. Yeah, I think it's just a spot. I don't want to say like scheduled loss. This is not the NBA. You don't have scheduled losses, but yeah, overseas game, anything could happen. I think it's a loss.
I agree completely because like if we hadn't had honestly, it's just like the downfall of going through and ranking these games, because if we didn't have all these, like if our record going into this game, according to you and I, wasn't 7-1.
Yeah,
like
8-1 going into this. Yeah,
I think we could pull this game off in Germany, and because I agree with you. I think that Drake May is due for a little bit of regression. I think adding AJ Brown definitely helped. I think adding a few guys on their defense helped, but like I could see us pulling this one off. So I'm gonna stick with my loss, but like you said, maybe a scheduled loss, just because I think we have so many wins in a row. My dumb brain can't have us going into Week 10 with just one loss on the year. So I gotta stick with it. Okay, so then coming back from Germany back to the United States, November 22nd, we then go straight home, which will be nice, and play Tampa Bay, a 1 p.m. start. Tampa Bay, looking at their team, I think I did like their draft. I liked Ruben Bain. Obviously, I was hoping Ruben Bain would fall to Detroit at what we are at, like 16 or something, so we were right there. He went 15th. Tampa Bay's always been a really sneaky good team, very gritty with Baker Mayfield. They're very similar to Detroit for quite some time. I think their time has passed them by. I think their defense has gotten a little bit worse every year. I think a little bit of the Baker magic is starting to subside. I know he had a great season last year, but I think he's just starting to lose it a little bit. The receivers are never healthy. At home, I'm going to say this: Detroit comes home from Germany, whether that's a win or a loss against New England. I think they come home and they get a win against the Buccaneers.
This is the dub, and maybe a bounce back game too. But get the boys home, get them rested, ready to go. I'm totally with you. The Bucks lost Mike Evans. I think that. I don't know that their time. I'm totally with you. Their time has probably passed. They can't seem to get it all together. And so I don't know what it is. Maybe it's Todd Bowles. I have no idea. But yeah, Lions, like going into Thanksgiving the next week. I think you definitely want some momentum carrying forward to Thanksgiving. I think this is going to be a dub for us. I think Vegas has us like a 4-point favorite, 5-point favorite. This is a win.
And I mean that's very true, because I think it's an extremely important win with Thanksgiving, because we move into week 11. That game is Thanksgiving. We're going to go to a quick break, and then when we come back, we're going to jump into the Thanksgiving Day game, what it means to Detroit, try and finish off the season here as soon as possible, because we're already at 47 minutes in this episode. So we'll go to a quick break and then come back and break down the rest of the season. All right, we are back with the remainder of the season. We were going to try and break it down at the bye week, but that just ended was so early in the season. So we're going to do a little break in the season at Thanksgiving. So this year, Detroit Thanksgiving against Chicago. I don't know if this is a new thing, but I hate that suddenly our Thanksgiving Day games are divisional games. It's been Chicago for the past few years. It was Green Bay a few years ago. I hate that our Thanksgiving Day game is divisional. Is that something that's new?
I honestly couldn't tell you. I think it's mostly random at times, but it has been. I mean, you look at the last like 5 seasons. I think it's been divisional opponent every single season.
They continuously ruin my Thanksgiving.
Mostly a mixture of the Packers and Bears too. Like I feel like it hasn't even been the Vikings. It's just been like kind of alternating between Packers and Bears. So yeah. Man, I just feel like we always play like shit on Thanksgiving, man. Like this is a game we should win. I want to say we win on Thanksgiving, especially splitting against the Bears last season, but they come on top big time, winning the NFC North, making the playoffs while you're sitting at home outside looking in. The Bears just have a very tough schedule, but I do think that this is another step forward season for Caleb Williams. Like he's entering year 3 now. He looked pretty decent in his rookie season. I think year 2 for him looked really good, and he made some big time throws. I think this is going to be a pretty big season for him. I don't like the spot here. Just I think if you would ask me like maybe like a day or 2 ago, I said we're beating the Bears on Thanksgiving. For whatever reason, right now, I'm just not quite sure. I just think we always play like shit on Thanksgiving. You got Ben Johnson coming back in. Obviously, he's a hell of a coach. Had a really good first season with the Bears. I think Caleb Williams is the X factor here, and he actually puts it together. And there's some fireworks for sure. I have this as a loss.
I'm gonna say, because in my mind, I have us going splitting with the Bears. I think I agree with you. I think I like what they're doing. I think they needed to do a little bit more to help their offensive line. They kind of had a later offensive line retirement, similar to Detroit, putting them in a tough spot there. But with that being said, like you said, I like what I saw out of Caleb Williams. I like what I saw mostly out of the defense. I like Dylan Teneman. I believe that's how you say his last name. The safety they took in the first round out of Oregon. They did take a center out in the second round. Centers are difficult to start as rookies, so I don't know if that's actually going to provide any helped to the offensive line. And they also had turnover in the offensive coordinator. So they promoted Press Taylor to be their new offensive coordinator back in end of February. So a lot of turnover in offensively, a little bit, but obviously you don't know. I can't imagine Press Taylor was doing that much offensive coordinating just with Ben Johnson being on the team. Again, I think we split with Detroit or with the Bears, and yeah, just being it's on Thanksgiving. I hate that narrative that Detroit always sucks on Thanksgiving, but it unless we can prove otherwise, like we lost like 3 years in a row, and one of those years we beat the Bears, and it was because Eberflus was just terrible with the clock, and we ended up winning that game. So yeah, I hate to agree with you continuously on this, but I'm gonna go with a loss in Week 11 as well.
Yeah.
So after Thanksgiving, we open up the December season, or the December schedule, I should say. We go down to Atlanta. Again, this was one of the last place games that was fit into our schedule. Atlanta Falcons, not much to talk about with them. I think they're an up-and-coming team. I think there's still some question marks on whether they can get it done QB-wise. But I mean, you still have a lot of great pieces offensively, at least with Bijan Robinson, with Drake London. Obviously, you have Kyle Pitts, excuse me. So a lot of great young pieces on that offense. I just don't trust the front office for Atlanta. I don't trust the coaching staff for Atlanta. I don't trust anything else outside of that offense. I think their defense is decent. I think their defense is getting better. Still really young. But I think they're going to chalk this one up as just a talent versus talent. We come away from Atlanta with a win here.
For me, it boils down to the quarterback play. Michael Penix versus Jared Goff. I just think that the Lions have so much of an advantage in that department. I haven't seen much out of Penix and been like, yeah, he's the guy. Like, and if you have no quarterback in this league, then you have no one. So, they have great pieces. I really think that they're taking a step in the right direction on offense and defense. Atlanta is, but if you don't have a quarterback, you just don't have much. So, this is a dub. This might be sneaky a little bit closer than some might think, especially at Atlanta. But this is a win for me.
Just looking at some of their transactions that they brought in Deshaun Hand, Liz Ojulari, Olamide Zacchaeus. So they brought in some smaller names, but guys that can be productive. The one thing I'll note with them, they also went out and signed Brian Robinson Jr. So now they have Brian Robinson, and B Robinson, Bijan Robinson. Do not get too confused when you are drafting. If you're drafting in person for fantasy football, you will hate yourself moving forward. After we play Atlanta, we bring the Tennessee Titans to town. Tennessee Titans, Cam Ward had one of the worst rookie seasons for any QB, for one overall pick in NFL history. I don't think we really need to get into this one very much. This should be a 50 burger. It's going to be a 50 burger.
Oh, because the last time we played the Titans, we put up 50 on them. Yeah. Titans at home. I agree. I don't think we have to go through this too much. No disrespect to them, but Cam Ward year two, he might take a small step forward. I hope he does. Young kid, seems like a good kid, but yeah, this Titans team is brutal. They just don't have a lot of talent on their roster, top to bottom. This is definitely a dub for me.
After we invite the Tennessee Titans to town, we then get on the bus and go up to, go up to Minnesota. Sunday night game, 8:20 against the Minnesota Vikings on December 20th. A night game in December in Minnesota. Still, like we said the first time we played them, I think it will be Kyler Murray. If there's no injuries or anything, I guess there's a chance they could have gone to J.J. McCarthy by now, injury or whatever. Either way, I don't trust it. I think we sweep Minnesota this year.
I think the only thing Minnesota's defense is going to come to play in both these games against Minnesota. In 2025, 10 sacks, 19 QB hits, 34 pressures in 2 games. That was Minnesota's D against us. So, this is going to be a gritty game for sure. You got to throw in Kyler Murray's mobility. I feel like at times, we are such an aggressive defense with our pursuit that sometimes we over pursuit, and a scrambling quarterback can really tear us apart if we're not, containing, especially on the edges. So it's definitely something to look at too. That being said, it's Kyler Murray. It's not like we're playing Lamar Jackson or anything like that. It's a tight game. I do have this as a dub though. This is a statement dub though. I think this Minnesota team, a lot of people are just looking at them, maybe writing them off because the quarterback situation. But let's not forget, this is still a Kevin O'Connell coached team. He's great with quarterbacks. He's a great coach. It's a divisional opponent on the road. Sunday Night Football. It's gonna be gritty, but this is a dub.
I was hoping you were going to say it's going to be a loss because then we could at least cover our bases. Because I mean, you talked me into it, damn it. There, I mean, there's a good that defense is scary last year. Talk about the PTSD from the Packers game last year. We had the Minnesota defense has running for our lives, and Jared Goff is historically really good against Brian Flores in that Vikings defense. But I was hoping you were going to say we're going to lose, so we can at least cover our bases. But either way, I guess we're both calling it a dub. All right, and then we go to a Monday nights. This would be technically the post-Christmas game, December 28th, 8:15 at night, at home versus the Giants. For this one, I was really split on it because I really do like what the Giants are putting together. I think at the QB, they're young, they're exciting, they're energetic. I think Scatterbo, if he's able to remain healthy, he's a running back that a lot of times probably won't because just the aggressive way he plays. If he can remain healthy, if Malik Neighbors can come back from his injury and look good, I think this is a really good New York team. Their defense looks really good. If this was at New York, I would say 100%. I think Detroit drops this. What we lost at New York last year, I was in New York for that game. I'm gonna say because it's at home, man, this is really a pick 'em for me. I'm gonna say this is a loss. New York comes to Detroit. And they're able to take it down the Lions here.
Wow. I'm pretty sure we beat them last year, but it was like a totally sluggish game in which like we had a huge comeback, right? Like we had no business winning, and somehow we came back and won.
You keep talking about it. Let me look it up.
Regardless, I think this is definitely a bit of a gift from the league, getting a Monday night football primetime matchup against a team that came in also in last place, right, in their division last year. That they just weren't very good, 4-13. Yeah, I think at home, Lions fans love Monday Night Football. We love some primetime football. Ford Field's going to be insane. The atmosphere is going to be hopefully really, really, really awesome. This is definitely a dub for me. I think we probably go in as 4.5-point favorites, 5-point favorites, somewhere around there, and the boys take care of business.
So last year, November 23rd, looking up, yes, we won in overtime. So we just barely scraped that out of against a 2-10. Oh, that was the Jameis Winston game. They had Jameis throwing a bunch of trick plays and stuff. Hand up, I swear to God, when I was giving my result for this, in my head I said I think we're gonna win this game, but some reason it came out as a loss. That coupled with the way you just walked us through it, I'm no longer as afraid of New York. I'm switching my answer officially to a win.
Wow. There we go. All right.
Okay, so then the last two games of the year, both divisional games, both away. We have at Chicago, January 3rd, and then obviously is at Green Bay. At Chicago, January 3rd, very much, I don't necessarily think a spot in the playoffs could be on the line, but the division definitely could be. For me, at Soldier Field, we already talked about the Thanksgiving Day game. That was week 12. I think we both had said we were going to be losing that game, I think we said, right?
The Thanksgiving game, yeah, we did have as a loss, and because of that, like this is bounce back for me. Like you got to split against the Bears. This game where like going into it, people are gonna say, "Oh, Jared Goff is soft, can't play in the cold." Maybe it's gonna be like 35 and sleeting rain. All that is to say, like yeah, like people are gonna count us out, but I certainly wouldn't. Like this is a spot where like we're gonna prove some people wrong. Jared's gonna not turn into a pumpkin in the cold. I do like the spot here to just play some smash mouth football. Maybe run the ball a little bit. Say our offensive line better than your defensive line, and we're gonna move men around and win just a gritty way. I do see this as somehow, some way we get a dub here.
I agree that somehow, some way I like that just because it's Dan Campbell. We've done that before. We've gone to Soldier Field and won before. And I know I said I thought we were going to split, and because it was Thanksgiving and we never played well on Thanksgiving, I was going to chalk the loss up to being then. I think we lose this game. I think Chicago, more so just because it's the end of the year, and the last few years we've come down the stretch and just not performed, and so I think it's going to be a lot. Unfortunately, I think it's going to be a dropped one that is going to be really frustrating. I can just picture us sitting there watching it, just being so frustrated, not being able to figure out the Bears' defense.
Yeah, and I think this NFC North is going to be super tight. So if you lose both those games to the Bears, it's going to be tough to reclaim the North. It's still obviously possible. We're going to talk about this next game at Green Bay, which could have huge implications too. But down the stretch of the season, we're like, I think it's really cool that you play a lot of divisional opponents down the stretch. But weeks 15 through 18, 3 of the 4 games that you play are divisional opponents, and 3 of them are on the road. This is going to be a gauntlet of a stretch. Easy schedule, but the last 4 games of the season are not easy by any stretch.
Yeah, so that leads us into the last game of the year at Green Bay. Again, the time is going to be flexed, so the time for this one has not been released yet. You can imagine if it does go as we're kind of walking through, like you just mentioned, like divisions will be on the line, chance playoffs are on the line. Like this will probably be flexed to an important game, a night game in some regard against Green Bay. I hate to do this, and I this definitely could be my dumb brain overcompensating for all the W's we had to really start the season. I think we dropped this one too. I think we end the season losing the last 2 divisional games of the year when it really matters. Now, is it going to matter based on our records here about making the playoffs? I don't think so, because based on just the numbers wise up in a second, I think we'll be okay playoff wise. But I think we dropped this one against Green Bay, unfortunately, as well.
And like you look at like the implications of winning the NFC North or not, like does 12 wins get it for you? Because I think like by my math, you had us at 12 wins. I think probably, but you never know. I think there easily could be two teams in the NFC North at 12 wins. So yeah, it's a tricky one, man. I have us actually at 13 wins coming into Week 18. I think that this game is probably going to mean less than some might think, which is it's a great thing. If this game doesn't mean anything Week 18, that means you did your job weeks 1 through 17. Yeah, I have this as a loss, but maybe not necessarily because the Packers are the better team. I think it's going to be close, but I think this is a spot where the Lions have very much clinched what they need to clinch. I'm not going to say it's necessarily the 1 seed. That would be awesome if they already clinched the 1 seed, but I think this is probably Green Bay beating us, but we're at 13 wins, and yeah, we're kind of coasting at that point and getting ready for the playoffs.
Okay, so then you and I both have us finishing the season at what, 13-5? Is that what I'm looking at here?
I have us 13-4. I think you had 12-5.
Just going through and counting real quick. Okay, so then if that puts us at both those numbers, so then how does that look? So you think overall, and we can break this down more like as the season goes. We'll go through, when the season's about to start, our MVP, expected MVP, who's going to be the most improved player, what the minimum is. But based on all of these, 12 wins, 13 wins, is that enough to get us at least to North the NFC Championship game?
Yeah, I think so. I think if you're 13 wins, certainly you're like either the 1 or the 2 seed, and you're looking really good, home field advantage at least through most of the playoffs, right? And at that point, I think, and it's not just me, like Vegas too. I think Vegas has the second best odds to win the NFC. So yeah, I think, you look at every team. There are some good teams in the NFC. There's absolutely no doubt about that. I think the Packers and the Bears are awesome. Eagles are great too. You never know what you're going to get out of the Cowboys. Obviously, the NFC West is incredible. Rams, Seahawks, 49ers, any of those teams could win. But yeah, I think this is a bounce-back season for the Lions. I think you absolutely need to make it back to the NFC Championship game. We know how that went 3 years ago. It was absolutely heartbreaking. Still not over it. I'll probably never be over that game against the Niners just because of that lead we had. But yeah, this is a great spot for us to get back there.
I agree. And like I said, right before the season starts, we'll break down more so what the minimum expectation would be for Detroit, what it would be for, who's going to be MVP, who's MIP, everything of that nature. So that's our game-by-game breakdown. It went crazy long. Thank you guys for sticking with us and going through each one. Hopefully you and I are at least somewhat right in these. There's a few 50-50 games in there both ways. I think the Bills game could be a 50-50 game that we said was not going to go our way. I think sneaky, maybe it's just my dumb brain. I think maybe the Panthers game could go 50-50 the other way. New England could go 50-50 our way the other way. There's a few of them in there that could go one way or the other. But regardless, we will break down more and more Lions stuff as we go through the offseason, get into OTAs, training camp, everything like that. We obviously have major trades going through even today, so anything like that goes through for Detroit, we will go ahead and keep you guys updated. We'll squeeze in just about as much football as we can. Any sort of small excuse to talk football, we're going to take it. So Okay, let's wrap up our show with a grit of the week. As always, you guys know Grit of the Week is brought to you by Pins and Aces. Pins and Aces is our favorite spot for all your golf apparel needs. From the start, Pins and Aces has focused on delivering gear that is as durable and functional as it is fun. Their best-selling polos are crafted with 4-way stretch, breathable, moisture-wicking, and SPF 45 plus fabric. I got absolutely fried just hanging out outside this week, so that last point is extremely important for me. They also include clever built-in sunglass holders to keep your neckline sharp and your shades secure. A bunch of different styles and patterns. So unique. Go out and check them out. You can use promo code GRIT at checkout for 21% off at pinsandaces.com. Promo code GRIT, G-R-I-T, for 21% off checkout. Go ahead, kick us off your Grit of the Week.
Yeah, my Grit of the Week. It's tough because Pistons got eliminated. The Tigers kind of suck out loud right now. But I think this is definitely got for me super deserving. My Grit of the Week, Jack Campbell. Just signed his extension, 4 years, $81 million, with I think about $51 million guaranteed, which makes him, I believe, the second highest paid off-ball linebacker in the NFL. Kind of a mouthful there, but I mean, just absolute grittiness, man. Like Jack Campbell, love him. He is blossomed right in front of our eyes. One of the best linebackers in the league. Finally paid, well deservingly. Last season, just monster season, man. 176 tackles. 5 sacks. He's the only NFL player in the last 2 or 3 decades to put up those kind of numbers, 160 plus tackles and 5 sacks in a single season. He's awesome, man. He's all over the field. He's exactly what you need out of your captain of your defense, just flying around there. Body's grit, man. Grit of the week, Jack Campbell.
We didn't really have a chance to talk about that. We might have brought it up at one point or another, but it really didn't get a chance to talk about it very much just because of all the basketball stuff going on. So I'm glad he's getting his flowers. He was fantastic. We were talking about how he didn't get the extension immediately. We knew that they were going to be working it through in one way or another. I was going to be shocked if they didn't work that through. So I'm glad that they were able to figure it out and they don't have to worry about it right now. Or throughout the regular season, I should say. My Grit of the Week, a little bit of a last-minute submission. I like you said, I didn't have very much going on, very many guys to pick from, just because the Tigers have been absolute ass. The Lions don't have much going on outside Jack Campbell. Pistons got eliminated. I was going to go Dylan Dingler based on his performance that's going on as we speak tonight. A 2-home run game. He's 4 for 3 on the night. I'm going to actually pivot, though, and go with Kerry Carpenter. Kerry Carpenter making his debut off the 10-day IL list. He is someone we have sorely missed. I believe he played 1 game against the White Sox over the weekend. Didn't perform very well, but has a home run tonight, was part of the back-to-back-to-backs. That was Dylan Dingler, Kerry Carpenter, Riley Green. Having him back and healthy, I think is going to be huge for this team. Kerry Carpenter, getting a home run in his one of his first few games back from the injured list. So my Grit of the Week is going to be Kerry Carpenter.
Hell yeah, man. Dude, love Kerry Bonds. Love that he's back. Say what you will about this Tigers team and if they should be in full-on tank mode. Is Tarek Skubal gone? Is he traded? We'll break that down in future episodes, absolutely. But right now, all you can do is one game at a time. Maybe claw your way back. Who knows? Like I said, we'll break down strategically what this team should do, where they can go from here. But until we find out for certain, let's just keep trying to win games. And having Kerry Bonds back is a huge help, man.
Yeah, so that is our show. Thank you guys for tuning in to this week's episode. You can find both Kyle and I on Twitter at Kyle_Marino and myself at Dutton_Tyler. You can follow the podcast itself on Instagram or on TikTok at Gridiron Report or on Twitter at Gridiron Report 1. We also post these full-length episodes on YouTube at Gridiron Report. You can tune into those and watch the all mostly unedited version of the shows. Finally, you can join the conversation next week by calling into the Gridiron Report voicemail for us to play and discuss on the podcast. That phone number is 313-306-7939. Call in, give us your predictions for the upcoming Detroit Lions season. What are the games that we missed? What are the games we're going to end up winning? Give us your thoughts on the upcoming season. We'll play that and discuss it on the podcast. And if you like this episode, please take a moment to rate it 5 stars. Leave us a review saying so. Follow us on all forms of social media. That gives us so much more opportunity to continue bringing you guys Detroit sports. Thank you guys for listening.
Thanks, y'all. Restore the roar.
Every highlight's a journey, roads paved with fire, sweat, tears, and hustle that never expire. From the rookies on the rise to the old hands retired, grit iron is the place for fans to conspire. Hustle on, blast beats thundering loud. Champions are born from the roar of the crowd. The gridiron report where the stories are proud. Tune in, bring the heat, make your fandom a vow.